So this is a digital footprint. This is her dad's, Stephanie's dad's email. One of two. Based on provided information, Paul's an individual with extensive digital presence across multiple platforms. This is his primary. There's his phone, New Jersey. This is true, window, exit, and flooring. That checks out with what Stephanie told me that he did. All that is true. Where it gets weird is here. He has a significant footprint in Trello, photo sharing. You wouldn't know it by looking at his Facebook page, because there ain't nothing on it. Coding, GitHub, SoundCloud. What would a 69-year-old man be doing on Vimeo, TikTok, and YouTube? He specializes in town and country home assistant, imagine fabulous wall coverings. Okay, then we slide down here, yeah? Paul Silva. Why are these photos of him Hispanic? That's him right there. Here it is right here. You can see it. Everything lines up. Which I think this is all the front. But look here. Online profile attributes. Now look here. Watch this. He's associated with every one of these platforms. This one here. That's interesting. Remember I showed you guys this? Producer, editor, director based in Los Angeles, a bilingual and a crappy bowler. So if we go back to the to this, look at all of these things that he's hooked on. No Facebook post found for Paul. No Facebook post for Paul Silva. Blah, blah goes on. There's his email. But it's interesting. I saw it yesterday. Let's see if I can find it. This is a big fucking network. And what they're doing is, you'll see the same thing on Amy Laska's page. They're using gaming platforms to pass information, child trafficking and drugs and whatever. You guys have no idea how far this thing has gone since the last videos that I made for you. All right, hold on for a second. Okay, so looking over here, this is Amy Laska, the next door neighbor. Remember 133? Yeah. So here it is here. Email address. That's the one that she used for the memorial for Stephanie. This is the only picture of her. Black, white, and red are satanic colors. And then she's making the claw. Registered email accounts right here. MySpace. Now watch as I scroll down. Look at all, it's the same thing that was on Paul's. All these gaming platforms. Gaming and community type stuff. Roblox, Minecraft, TikTok, those are all child trafficking platforms. Okay, hang on. Now, this is her other email address. Amia, the individual associated with the username Miss Amy 133, appears to be a resident of Pamplona, Navarra, based in her social media footprints, identified through the email Miss Amy 133. Okay, this area, especially this area, is known for one specific thing. In their own words, they say they have a high number group of people that are associated to the Nephilim. That's interesting, considering that Stephanie and Joe both used the name Og, which is what the Nephilim are. Let's see. So she's involved in MySpace, Blogger, Coding, GitHub, TikTok, BuzzFeed. Her name, Miss Amy. And we come down here. I don't know what that is. And it's all in Spanish. Or not Spanish, well, yeah, Spanish. Okay, so what is all this? Well, we'll take a look. I'll give you some pictures from this broad. Hang on. Now here's some pictures of Miss Amy. Okay? Purple hair, how interesting. But what's really interesting here is this. You look real close. You see how that looks like the head of a cow? See the two eyes, the ears, and the nose? Because the cow is what? Well, that's their old Moloch thing, isn't it? This is interesting. A child standing by a lake. Well, I'm sure you're supposed to think that that's her when she was a kid. But these numbers say different. Because what these numbers say is that is child pedophilia, 33, which is the anal sex, and then number 9 is hell. So they make it look like it's a nice family picture, but in reality that's probably a pickup and drop-off point. Do you do this? Do you take pictures of people that are just pointing? Wouldn't you be taking a picture of where she's pointing? No, because she's holding out her finger, because that's the dick finger. That's the dick finger. Anybody that knows how to read these codes would understand that this bitch is involved in this, and this is all same thing with her dad, Paul. His emails originate out of Brazil. Hers originate out of Spain. Now you can see this is from her Facebook page. She's being kissed by a llama. What do llamas represent? In the occult, they're used as a symbol for child sacrifice. Now watch. And so we look here, and here's a picture with her with a llama, which represents child sacrifice, and here she is again with the cow. And then we have this. Largest child sacrifice in history, discovered in Peru. What I want you to cue in on, oh, and by the way, there was a bunch of llamas that were sacrificed with these kids. That's why it's the logo for it. There is the yellow and pink for sex and violence. Imagine that. And they make sure that those colors were there so that you would know, if you could read the code, that that's exactly how those kids died. And they're all being sacrificed to mommy. Isn't that interesting? What a fucking sick bitch she is. So this was a news story. Portland International Airport. And you got the llama with this color right here, which that color is the color for pedophilia. And you see how the llama's face looked like it's got a mask on? That's another reason they do that shit. It's all part of their fucking ceremonial crap. But what this is telling me is that they were trafficking kids through that airport, either coming or going. My guess is they were receiving it. Or them, the kids. So when we see this color, and it's just a random picture, you see the color in the background. Here's the Monarch butterflies for Project Monarch, which is an MK Ultra program. I'm getting ready to send all this shit to the CIA. That's what I'm telling you. I'm gonna get killed. But I'm calling them out. I'm sending it all to the U.S. Marshals. I don't care. I'm blaming the Jews because they're the ones that are behind it. And I'm sending this shit to the synagogues. I don't give a fuck. Here's the teal for the pedophilia. There's the mind control. There's the finger for the dick. And there's the pink and yellow for the sex and violence. I couldn't be this right if I was that wrong. So, going back through Stephanie's emails, I found one other one, and it's AJ Star. Well, if you pronounce that, AJ's Ash Star. And if we look at the star Ashtoreth, which is Asherah, which is mommy, see the color green again? See the shirt Stephanie was wearing? You can't see it here, but on a blow-up you can see she's got the dick finger pointing down, and she's making the dragon's claw. I find that to be extremely suspicious. And when I questioned her about those hand symbols, she busted in this uncontrollable crying fit that I couldn't stop her. And she said, I don't know why I was doing that. Well, if this is mind control, she probably didn't. Which is what I said earlier, that she was probably under some type of mind control. So she probably didn't know. So we know at least that color is associated with child sacrifice and Asherah. Yeah? No, wait till you see where this is going. This gets way worse. It gets way worse. So when we look at this, I remember when I brought this up to her, she started crying and she just almost wouldn't stop. And she said, I don't know why I'm doing this. Well, again, she might not have. Because I'm pretty sure that girl was mind programmed, and we'll just take a look at this real quick. I'll show you. So this is another one of her emails right here, and it's the only thing I can find on Joe. I can't really find anything else. Both her and him use this email. So if you go down here and you look, email address, usernames. Well, dank is pot. Joe and Stephanie sold marijuana legally when they were living out in Colorado. But what's interesting is if you go down here, and you can tell there's the bong. So I'm guessing that was supposed to be Joe. I don't know. Why these pictures are fuzzy, I don't know. But if we come down here, you see right here, Vimeo. This is when it was created in 2010. So that must have been when they were out in Colorado. So if you look, location, New York City. Well, who was affiliated with New York City, right? What's interesting is that when you look down here, and it's Amy Cakes, which is interesting because now you've got Joe and now you've got Amy, the next door neighbor to Stephanie, and you got an account called Amy Cakes. And when we go there, it's all mind control shit. But there's one in particular that's really, really super interesting here. It is this one, black and white. And so we'll just turn that on. Hang on. And as you can see, the name of it is Black and White, right? But I want to show you one particular part of this. Now look at this shit. There's the seal on there. Now look. Now watch here. Watch. I'm just going to move this up a little bit. There's the finger. But this is some serious shit here. There's the eye. There's the dragon's claw on either side. There seems to be some type of a tattoo here. Watch. This is some fucked up shit right here, because this is telling me that Joe and Stephanie, and the fact that that account is named Amy Cakes, and the next door neighbor that I told you was definitely involved in this whole thing is named Amy Laska. It's all tied together. This shit right here, this is some serious bullshit. There's only 6 videos on this page, and this shit is all mind control. That's why I said when Stephanie said she didn't know why she was making those hand symbols, she might not have. She might not have. This is some really wicked crap. So then we go back over into Amy, the next door neighbor. And this is the picture of her fat, ugly friend holding up. This is a filleting knife. And this is for cutting big meat. And if we look here, what do we see? Black and white. And here, over here, we see Baal, right? And the dragon's claw. The dragon's claw referring to Ashtoreth, which Stephanie was making with her hand. Okay? This is serious shit. This isn't some game or made up play stuff. Whatever happened up at her house that day was serious. And I mean super serious. And here, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret here, which will probably explain this. So if we look at this, the priests of Baal, that's what this black and white shit is over here, were required to eat human sacrifices, and thus it has come to pass that Kana, Baal, Kana meaning priest, and Baal, he's got this wrong. Khan is a pseudonym for Kohen, which is priest. He's just not throwing the Jewish part in. Kana is Khan, which is Cohen. And Baal is established in the word cannibal in our own tongue for devourer of human flesh. And what do we see? We see the black and the white. We see the single eye of Baal, the dragon's claw of Mother. And we see a fat broad wearing black and white bracelet with a filleting knife and a big ass knife used for cutting up meat. You know, this isn't just some kind of joke. This is some serious shit, which will take me to my next thing here. So this picture from her supposed memorial never sat right with me. First of all, the neck is too long. That tells me that somebody modified this picture. That picture would have been from like 2020. Why in the fuck wouldn't you just use an updated one? But the most interesting thing about it is how this all ties into the whole child massacre murder thing. Is that this is Maria Abramovich, a high-ranking Jewish priest, fucking witch. Isn't it funny that both her and Stephanie are looking off into the distance exactly the same way? I find this is getting serious. So now you've got the black and the white, the Baal and the Ashtoreth, Stephanie playing the goddess of Ashtoreth, right? So let's look at some of Maria Abramovich, obviously Jewish, her art. Gee, nothing to see here. Nothing but arms and legs and the pink and yellow, it's blood and flesh, but You see it? So you're talking about dismemberment. You're talking about cannibalism. This is what you're talking about here. 100% that's what you're talking about. So then let's go back to this. And so here's the black and white again. The act of sodomy. That's why they're showing J-Lo wearing this, right? Black and white right on her ass, which does what? It opens up the third eye, which is the eclipse. See all the blood? And then over, oh, look at how sweet over here. Oh, call to action. Sandy Hook families call for change. And what is mommy wearing? The Jewish mommy, by the way. I can tell by her face. Black and white. Which tells me what? Which tells me what? That tells me that we're into this insane mindset that turns these people into monsters. They're programmed. They're turned into monsters. Well, cannibal monsters, by the way. Oh, wait. Let's go back to this. Hang on. So then let's go back. Remember I showed you that Stephanie had an Ashra pole. Now she's wearing the color of Ashra, which is that teal color, right? There's an Ashra pole in the back. This is from an unrelated story that I got off of YouTube, but they show you what? An Ashra pole. And look at the colors they use, black and white. Now, Abramovich, that Jewish witch that I just showed you, look, her and Stephanie have the same head position. What's this? Hillary enlisted friends to humiliate black men for entertainment. That ain't just black guys. This is an ash tree, which makes this an Ashra pole. And this dude would be tied up here, his arms around here, and his feet tied so he couldn't escape, and they would anally rape him from the back and whatever else they decided to do. The woman that lived there before Stephanie, Erin Arnold, the one that looks like Amy Laska, she did that Ashra pole. But here you have the Ashra pole, and here you have Stephanie with the one eye symbol. And the child sticking something in its mouth, which is indicative of oral sex. Do you see where this is going? Hillary Clinton was tied in with John Podesta in Pizzagate. We all know what pizza is, right? It's a code word for pedophilia. So this thing with Stephanie isn't just some guy that was disgruntled and went and got even with his wife. No, this is far beyond that. And in case you don't know who this is, you're in Europe watching this, this is from a child's television program. This was Mr. Rogers. And his song, he says, "Won't you be my neighbor?" And we see that he's wearing the teal color for pedophilia and Ashtoreth. And he's putting on a clown face, which means he's getting ready to rape them and torture them. And this is how we know that nothing in that story that the police said is true. You see the two girls standing there? Do you see this right here? See this right here? That gives away the whole story, or at least the perpetrators in it. That is a Masonic pose called standing on the square. Most people don't know that, but if we look over here, here's old Georgie Washington doing the same thing, and we all know George Washington was a Mason, don't we? Oh, as well as this guy. As well as this guy. Oh, and you probably know this guy. Michael Jackson. Now, what's interesting about this picture here is that there's this little bit right here. The pink, yellow, and blue. The divine feminine also represents sex and violence. So let's look at this logically. It wouldn't just be normal. Masonic pose, normal. If one bit of this fucking story is Masonic, it all is. And there it is, right there. Right there. So it proves right there that they're police story report is bullshit. And believe me, I'm sending all of this shit right to the chief of police of the town where that happened. Like I said, I'll be dead soon, but at least it'll get out. And if you look, you can see what? What do you see? They're all kneeling. Just like all the football players and all the baseball players that were kneeling, supposedly against racism, whatever the fuck it was. No, it isn't. They're kneeling to the goddess. Which is this? Which mom? Isis. Now, Isis and Ashtoreth, they're kind of interchangeable. They're all female goddesses. There's something a little bit more interesting about all of this shit. Let's take a look. This, to me, does not look normal. Nobody's fingers are that long. And what's another telltale sign of what these folks are into? Old Magilla Gorilla's face here. She's got a black eye. That's called a Black Eye Club. You know what that is? That's a symbol that you're a sodomite. All these wonderful little things that we find associated with supposedly a man who was just upset and shot his wife. Well, now we know that it wasn't. Now we know for sure that the secret societies were involved, and that's why the FBI and the state police intervened and stopped me from getting up there, because I could have pointed every bit of this out in real time, just like I'm pointing it out to you in a video. And so let's think about this logically as well. You wouldn't have a Masonic memorial for somebody who wasn't tied to the Masons. That would be like them having one for me. But I'm not a Mason, so they would never do it. Make sense? And seeing that this is based around Stephanie, then it's reasonable to assume that she had to have been involved in some way or another, unless when she was programmed as a kid, they used her as the sacrifice to Mother. But the fact that she was wearing the colors for Ashtoreth, it's hard to say one way or another. They may have killed her in a sacrificial way and did some other stuff that really makes me kind of mad, and it's going to get me to contact the guy that owns the restaurant, because I have an idea that's what happened. This is dark stuff here, folks. Real dark. So now we know that Masonry is involved here. Look, which mom? Isis. So you've got Isis and Ashtoreth, both goddesses, both tied in with Ashtoreth is more Canaanite Jews. Isis is more Masonic, but Masonry came from Judaism, so it's all combined. So if we go back and look at this picture, why are they both looking at that angle? This Abramovich bitch right here. What you can't see is she's laying down like on a table, as like a dinner. It's like a perverted Jesus saying, "Take, eat, this is my body, which has been given to you for the remission of sins." This is not a coincidence here, and you'll see here in a minute. So if we look here, here's one of her pictures. This is the guy laying like on the table like thing, and covered in some weird shit. Here's another picture. Can't say if it's real or not. I don't know. It tends to lean that way, doesn't it? because these people are cannibals. We already know the word kana, Baal. Kana is Khan is Cohen, Baal is Baal. No, they're all in the Baal worship, ain't they? And so human consumption of flesh ain't that far out of the realm of things, because I already showed you where it's written down that they do that. So 3 days after the memorial that the FBI and the West Virginia State Police stopped me from getting to, Amy comes on and she says this: all fresco locations and Divine Italian Bistro will be hosting Dine for Stephanie. Simply tell your server that you are dining for the Stephanie Francis Memorial and a portion of the proceeds will be donated. I'm not so sure that's what that meant. Look here, outside, the pink and yellow. Well, that's a big part of it, but let me show you the true part of it. This right here. So what this guy did, let's just remove this here. So what this guy did right here, I'll be right back, hang on. So when we look at the way he spelled the F, all he did is take the astrological symbol for Saturn, which is what this is. There's the cross, see it right there? And there's the sickle. And here's the sickle right here. So he's in the club. Up here's a picture of Epstein. You know, that filthy child fucking murderer and trafficker. See it? See this? This is on his airplane. What do we got here? Can you guys guess what that is? What is that? What is that? Looks similar to these other two, don't it? I'll show you. Remember from the last time I showed you? From the secret pizza party by this Adam Jew guy, whatever the fuck his name is, who I'm going after him next. You see the raccoon? It's from a book for kids called The Secret Pizza Party. See the arms? You see the arms over here? That's a symbol for Baal. So when we look at this symbol right here, how come Baal is being associated again with little kids? Well, because they fuck them and they kill them and they eat them. That's why. You think Hansel and Gretel was just a bedtime story? There's truth in those fucking stories. Watch here. So this here is the symbol for Saturn. The two arms up is a symbol for Baal, which is mommy and all of that whole rigmarole, right? But they're associating it with pizza, which is pedophilia. Look at old dickweed Epstein. Oh, by the way, you don't think Epstein is a Korean last name, do you? No, it's Jewish. And they change it. It's Epstein. Yeah, and they didn't stop with like 16-year-old chicks. This goes all the way down into little kids. That's why it's the pizza party. Remember that picture right there? Remember what I told you that is? That's called Five Eyes. That's the 5 Western countries of the world that are in charge of international child trafficking. America, England, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. The eclipse up here represents pedophilia. The inverted pentagram represents Satanism. And the black star is Saturn, whom the Phoenicians called what? And it's also the 6th eye, Israel. Isn't it amazing? Ain't it amazing? Let's just take it one step farther. So in the book, the raccoon, and why do they use the raccoon? Because he's wearing a mask. You know, like eyes wide shut. This is the secret handshake. And what do we know that really is, folks? Come on. What do we know that what is this? It's the seal of Saturn. And how do we finish that phrase? Always? the seal of Saturn, whom the Phoenicians called Israel. This is Jewish trafficking and abuse and murder, ritualistically, of non-Gentile or non-Jewish children. That means everybody else but the Jews. And so we look, and what else do we see here? What is this? What is this right here? Oh, this is from the Manson murders. You think that says war, but it's not. It's a seal, the seal of Saturn, whom the Phoenicians called Israel. You always have to put that in there. Okay, so there it is. And then you got the AR. The AR, augmented reality. And then if you look here, you got the number 33, which they tried to make it out to be like a clover. So 33 there. And then just to make sure that we're not picking on the wrong group, this is a store, big major grocery chain in Illinois. And what is this? Jewel. Okay, sounds like a stone. Sounds like it's tied in with the G and M, but it is, because if we just spread the word into the way it really is made, you will get Jew, and you will get El. And who is El? The Canaanite god Saturn, who the Phoenicians called Israel. And then what did he put right here? Matter of fact, let's just take this whole thing again, and why don't we just bring it over here, and we'll extend it a little bit like this. Yeah, they love to play these games, don't they? I'll just take this over here. See a little seal of Saturn there? And then if we just, I don't know. Put that there, and then we'll just do this and this. Oops. Over here. And what do you got? You've got the same symbol as the Epstein, which is the astrological symbol for Saturn, the Phoenicians called Israel, and the symbol for Baal. And that's why the raccoon has his arms up. And you got the seal there, and then you got the whole pizza thing. And so I think what we're dealing with here is, at the best that I can tell right now, dealing with Stephanie, either she was a poster girl for a ritualistic thing that went on with kids the night that they said she got murdered. Because remember, I was on the phone with her 2 hours prior. I emailed her and she never came back and answered it. There was a sleepover, but it was only one child. But even so, she would have still got to her phone between then and midnight when they said that she was murdered. Well, she never did. She never did contact me back. And she would have. So whatever really started after 9:30 her time, not sometime around midnight. My guess is either she was a poster child for a demonic witchcraft dealing with child trafficking, or they murdered her as a sacrifice. There's something very, very telling about this shit, and we know who's involved here, don't we? Because I just showed you the name. We know who it's in reference to. We know that the Jewish priests were cannibals. We know that the Jewish priests, the Khan Abel, right, are Jews. And then you look at the secret pizza party, which is pedophilia, with the seal of Saturn, who the Phoenicians called Israel, right? And we know that they were ordered to eat flesh. I don't know. I'm never going to see Stephanie again. Even if she packed up and her and Joe walked out of the house, I'll never see her again. It doesn't matter. I'm not supposed to see her again. This whole dining for Stephanie sounds like people came in and, like the whole perverted version of Christ, this is my body, take, eat. They used her as a sacrifice. And this may explain why the family is looking like this. So here's the family 3 months after, on the 5th of October, where they're all smiling. There shouldn't be a dry eye in the fucking house. And you're going to take kids to a memorial for your mother that you were supposedly standing there and watched her get shot. That's like making them relive it all over again. No. The only thing that would explain this is one of two things. Either A, it's fake, or B, they were in on it. And if they were in on it, that means that they offered up their daughter as a sacrifice, as the goddess. She was a sacrifice. And that's why they look like this, and the daughter looks like this, and the son looks like this. Now, these, to me, appear to be pictures that were superimposed on a background that day. Again, I don't know if Stephanie was really murdered or symbolically murdered, because we're talking about masonry, a lot of symbolism in masonry. For all I know, she was part of the organization. They did their thing. I was getting ready to move up there, and whatever they did, they couldn't have me coming up there, because then there would have to be a big explanation on why she moved, and they didn't want it. So, but it's definitely masonry is involved in this. So if masonry is involved in one little part, it was involved in the whole thing, from beginning to end. And I just want to point out, I just want to point something out here real quick. It's not unusual. I mean, you saw it in the movie The Wicker Man. They don't just grab those things out of thin air and just make them up. It's because there's truth to the stories. They'll sacrifice one of their own because they think it's going to enhance the group. And so for them, being raised that way, this wouldn't be traumatic like it is for me. To them, oh, she'll be up with the gods and all of that bullshit. So, that could very well be the reasoning behind all of this. This was a text that she sent me about a month before all this went down. She said, "Okay, I'll check. Thank you for always being there for me since I've known you." Now look what she says here. I know I'm getting out of this, but if I was never to escape, just having this experience would be enough to show me what real love could be like. You're going through a divorce. Who says, if I was never to escape, just having this experience would escape? Doesn't sound like you're in a divorce to me. I don't know what this is. It's an interesting thing to say. So that was May 10th. So about 40 days later, she'd have been dead. Now this picture right here is a picture that was taken from the place where they had the memorial. Not on that day. I'm not going to say that that's what went on there. I'm going to tell you, I can see this clear as day of what this is. First of all, you have the child here, behind bars. If you look, the child's doing the one-eye symbolism of Baal. This here, if we take that and we rotate that, and it won't make any difference, you'll get it in a minute. That is somebody wearing fishnet stockings, bending over. Those are their ash cheeks. This right here is the dream catcher. That's what catches the soul. This down here right here is the number 3. That's a 93. That's what that is right there. 93. And what is what is 93? What is 93? I knew as soon as I saw it, I knew what it was. 93 stands for do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. And 93 over 93 stands for love is the law, love under will. And who said that? Who wrote that? Aleister Crowley. Another real nice upstanding citizen in the community. Let me just show you. This is Thelema. It's Buttfuckers Inc. of little kids. That's why as long as you do it with love, it's acceptable. That's the love. Love is the law. I'm raping you, but I'm doing it with love. And so if we look over here, I can't find much on Joe. I'm really frustrated. It's interesting. I was going through their paperwork in the court, 5/23. That was 3 days after him and Stephanie supposedly got in that argument and the domestic was reported. He was charged with it. Look what it says. Filing date, amount, $770. Case, you notice there's no number. Status, there's no number. And this was 5/23. Well, that's interesting because this is all code right here. There's his name, there's his address. Because you see this? As soon as I saw those three numbers, I knew what it was. There it is. 777 and/or Kabbalistic writings of Aleister Crowley, who said everything is permissible under the law as long as you do it with love. See? Funny how all this all gets tied up all nice together with a big bow on the top. So that was code that this okay, so let me just show you one more thing. Because they're saying that the debt of 777 has to be paid. Okay, well, hang on. So the night that all of this went down, when her and I were talking, in my last conversation with her, she said Joe sent her this. 47 days down, 59 more days to go until I just even no more. Not even the end of this, maybe. Penance paid and still paying. Penance paid and still... Penance is when you owe a debt and still being paid. Exiled and punished. Who the fuck talks like this? This is supposed to be a 45-year-old man that does fireplaces? Exiled and punished. Shame and sorrow wear heavier each passing day. I truly hope you're living your best life. You deserve it. Well, what an idiot thing to say. You only talked to her an hour before that. And they said, please modify the no contact order so I don't have prison time looming over me to go along with everything else. So he's saying that he's got a debt that's got to be paid. This whole thing is bizarre. And then she said, what about the NCO? And he said, never mind, good night. But then he went on to say, look, I'm not going to come by the house anymore because it's becoming uncomfortable for the both of us. So then I'm supposed to believe that he came in and, what, an hour and a half later with a shotgun and killed her? No, that's not what happened. There was no shotgun involved in anything. All of this crap that I'm showing you here is getting sent right to the fucking United States Marshal's office in Denver. Okay? I must have 400 pictures in a binder. This thing's going to be like 3 volumes, but I'm sending all of it and they can sift through it in their own time, along with the thumb drive and a CD disc. Okay? What happened with Stephanie up there is dealing with children and murder, and you know what group of people we're talking about, right? The not so chosen ones. I don't give a fuck how much power they wield, because I'm not stopping with this. This stuff is going everywhere. It's going to MI6, it's going to the SAS, it's going to the fucking Scotland Yard, because somebody will do something with it. I'll never get the satisfaction of seeing these fuckers get busted. But I do get the satisfaction out of them having to know that somebody out there fucking knows and is blabbing. That's the satisfaction I get. And in the end, because I talk too much, we all know where that goes. I'm old, I'm alone, what difference does it make, right? But I'm doing what everybody should have been doing their entire fucking life. And this shit would never happen. I just thought this was interesting because you see the character down there? It says little 12 toes. That was a thing that was on Schoolhouse Rock when I was a kid, teaching how to count and multiply and shit. But if you notice, in the cartoon, he was black and white striped, and he had 6 fingers, which is who? Who was it? Well, the Nephilim. And who were the Nephilim? What were they referred to as? Og. And Stephanie and Joe, he was Hizzy Og, and she was Sti Og Abu. And it's interesting that you have these connections, the Og. But what's more interesting is that the fact that the color of her shirt, which is tied in with Ashtoreth, and these are the lyrics to the partial song, that they would use, incidentally, that exact color that she's wearing on her shirt. Her shirt looks a little slightly different shade, but it's because of the lighting and the way that this is, I scrunched it down. All of this is tied together. What I'm dealing with is, imagine it's like a dream, and it's a jigsaw puzzle. And I'm trying to pull everything together to get a clear picture of what actually happened. Occult science is basically esoteric forensics. Same thing that a cop does with, blood spatter and fingerprints and, flow mechanics, the way things move. We're doing the same thing here. And like I said, this is just this part. I haven't even showed you the other part. This is just kind of dealing specifically with her because I loved her, and well, I'm never going to stop digging into this. But this thing gets much, much bigger. And in the next video, I'll show that to you. Trample on Snakes has got a lot of stuff going, so him and I don't get to correspond as much as I'd like. But at least I got this out today. So now what can we say for sure? We can say for sure that this was something dealing with masonry. Period. Period. That's the most important thing. It proves right there that the girl that's standing on the square, and I couldn't see, because it was a still shot, if she moved. If you turn on the square, and Michael Jackson used to do that all the time, when you turn on the square, that means keep the secret. But we at least know that she was standing on the square, and that the yellow, pink, and blue were there for the divine feminine and all that bullshit. So that we can say for sure that this is not just some dude that was pissed off and went in there with a gun and shot her. If they gave her a memorial and there was masonry involved in it, then it means she had a Masonic funeral. Another reason they didn't want to tell me anything, because they know I know this stuff. What they didn't know is I was going to start looking for this on day 1. Within the first hour, I told the Rhode Island State Police, this is a cover for something way, way bigger. So, I'm just letting you know. So I'm going to end this, and hopefully I can get you the next part out by next weekend.